Howdy Simmers! The Sims 4 has been out for 9 years, and in that time we have gotten a lot of DLC. Every now and then I do these DLC ranking videos because The Sims 4 gets new players every day. And it can be overwhelming choosing what DLC to get because not everyone has the money to get all of them, so sometimes I just need other players' opinions on which ones are the best ones to get and which ones are maybe the ones to avoid. And I've done a few of these videos already. I've ranked the expansion packs and I've ranked the game pack so far, so today we're going to be doing the stuff packs. So for reference, these are all of the stuff packs that we have in The Sims 4, and unfortunately stuff packs have become discontinued, essentially. The last one that we got was Paranormal, which came out in January of 2021, and we have not heard a word about them since. So I think it's safe to say that stuff packs are officially no more, and we're just going to continue getting a bunch of kits. If you watched my video where I ranked all of the game packs, then you might be familiar with this tier list. It's the same exact categories, but I've just switched out the game pack icons for the stuff pack icons. So we have 100% can't play without, pretty good, neutral, can play without, and delete. So as always, we are going to start right at the very beginning with Luxury Party. I have always been lenient when it comes to the earliest DLCs for The Sims 4. Because in the beginning, they're trying to find their niche, they're trying to figure out what way they want to go with the game, and unfortunately, Luxury Party is just one of those things that I cannot accept. Prior to kits, stuff packs gave us the least amount of content, and all I can say is that stuff packs have definitely come a long way from the very beginning because there is like no content in Luxury Party. The only positive thing I have to say about this pack is that I like some of the dresses that came with it. So I'm always talking about how I feel like we need more formal wear outfits. Like, I just don't feel like we have enough, and the ones that we do have aren't very good. Luxury Party has a few nice ones, but overall the Create a Sim content is not my favorite, and we got a lot of makeup choices that just are not good. And the build and buy is awful. Like, this is it. This is all you get. This thing here is just a giant cube that lights up. I don't believe it's a chair. I think it is literally just a light, but it's huge. It's awful, it's unnecessary, and this is all you get in terms of build and buy stuff. So I really don't think that this pack delivered. I know it's the first stuff pack that we got for the game, but it's horrible. So with that being said, Luxury Party is going in the delete category. Next up is Perfect Patio stuff, which actually has the opposite problem. Perfect Patio was kind of lacking in the Create a Sim department, which honestly makes sense given that this whole pack is about creating the perfect patio space. So of course they would focus primarily on the build mode. But for the Create a Sim, we really didn't get anything that stood out. We got a couple new swimsuits, some new hairs, and really everything else is just kind of forgettable. It really does not focus on Create a Sim stuff, which is fine. But yeah, there's not anything really memorable about the Create a Sim for this pack. Now, the selling point for this pack was the hot tub, which if you guys remember, I think it was the 20th anniversary of The Sims. They gave us a hot tub in the base game, so people were really upset because they had paid to get hot tubs and then suddenly everyone had one for free. But let's be honest, the hot tub that comes with this pack is so much better than the one that we got for the anniversary. Honestly, the hot tub isn't even the only nice thing in the build and buy mode. Like, we got some nice seating with this pack, and it has one of my favorite kitchen counter sets in the entire game. So I don't even really care about the whole hot tub thing. I stand by my opinion that the hot tub we got with this pack is better than the anniversary one. I honestly kind of like this pack. Before I make my decision about where I want to put Perfect Patio on my tier list, I do want to say I don't play with hot tubs. I don't usually give my Sims hot tubs. I give them pools, but not hot tubs. And I don't know that I want to say it's pretty good because with the earlier DLCs, they don't do a good job at balancing out what type of content we get. Usually a pack focuses more on Create a Sim stuff or more on the build stuff. We have never really had a balance between in the earlier content, and so I don't think I want to put it at pretty good. So maybe neutral? Don't get me wrong, I do think that Perfect Patio is a pretty good pack. But I do wish that we had gotten some more Create a Sim stuff, and I know that this pack does primarily focus on patios, which is just furniture, but I mean, maybe a few more swimsuits would have been nice. The next stuff pack is Cool Kitchen stuff, which honestly I kind of wish had been a later stuff pack. This pack has more of that balance between Create a Sim stuff and build and buy stuff than the first two stuff packs did, and I do wish that this pack had come out around the time that Paranormal and Tiny Living did, just because those stuff packs had a lot more content to them than any of the earlier stuff, and I think that this pack had it come out at a later time, could have had a lot of potential because this is surprisingly one of my favorite stuff packs. Some of the Kratos stuff in this pack I actually really like, especially the feminine tops and a few of the masculine tops as well. But this top in particular with the jacket here, not necessarily the swatch, but the actual top, is one of my favorites, and I put my Sims in it all the time. Now, the hairs in this pack are not my favorite, but overall, I'd say the Kratos is pretty good for this pack. Now, I need someone to go back through every build that I have on the gallery and tell me how many times I have used this oven, this sink, and this fridge in a build, because I love the appliances in this pack, and I love the kitchen set, like the counters. These are just some of my favorite things to use, and I put them in my kitchens all the time. Like, I'm not kidding. This is honestly one of my favorite stuff packs ever. And the selling point for this was the ice cream machine, which I actually don't use, and that's because the tuning on it is not good, and the popcorn machine from Movie Hangout has the same problem. So I don't really use those appliances, but the actual kitchen set, one of my favorites, and I use it literally all the time. And it has some really nice clutter objects as well. You have the little flowers there, you have some of the utensil stuff to hang up on the walls, got some cookbooks, little nice seating as well. So I think for this being one of the earlier stuff packs, this one is actually pretty good. And I use this stuff so much, I don't think that I could play without this, honestly. Like, this is just one of my favorite stuff packs ever, and it's kind of ridiculous. But I am definitely putting cool kitchen stuff, and 100% can't play without. I don't know what I would do without that kitchen set. Honestly, we don't have a lot of kitchen counters in the game as it is, so anytime that we get new ones, I will take it. But the one from Cool Kitchen is just honestly my favorite one, and I can't imagine my game without it. The next pack is Spooky Stuff, which honestly was a very useless stuff pack until we got Seasons, where the holidays and the calendar were all introduced. And even then, Spooky Stuff is still very useless because the trick-or-treat tradition that came with Seasons doesn't even work. Like, your Sims can get trick-or-treaters coming to their house, but you cannot take your Sims trick-or-treating. So what is the point? I imagine this pack was made as a way for Simmers to celebrate Halloween in their Sims game. You know, maybe a Simmer didn't have Halloween plans and they just wanted to hang out at home and play some Sims and maybe get into the spooky mood, which is fine. But without Seasons or any kind of Halloween event in the game, this pack really served no point. It's all just kind of cosmetic stuff. So I don't use any of the Create a Sim stuff. I don't use really any of the build and buy stuff because it's all kind of situational. You know, if you're a storyteller Simmer, this might work for you, you know, if you want to have a storyline where they're celebrating Halloween or something. But other than that, there really was no use for this pack, and frankly, without the functional trick-or-treat tradition, there's still no point to it. So this is not my favorite pack. I don't really see a point in this pack existing at all, but whatever. And honestly, saying all of that hurts because Halloween is my favorite holiday, but I do think I need to put this pack in delete just because without Seasons, and even with Seasons now because the trick-or-treat function doesn't work, there really is no point to this pack. It is just so useless. And so it's something that I don't even think should exist at this point because there's nothing you can really do with it. Movie Hangout stuff is an interesting one because I really like the concept, but there's nothing about this stuff pack that really stands out to me. This pack went with a bit of a boho vibe, which you will definitely see more in the build and buy stuff. But for Create a Sim, we have a few nice tops, but honestly nothing about this Create a Sim catalog stands out to me. It's all just kind of bland and meh. And the build stuff is actually kind of interesting. So it's a lot of patterns, it's very colorful, very nice. And the selling point for this was the popcorn machine, like I mentioned. And of course, that has tuning problems just like the ice cream machine does, so it's not something that I typically have my Sims use. And yeah, this pack, great concept. Some of the items are nice, but this is not a pack that I feel really stands out to me. And so, for me, I feel like this is a pack I could probably play without. I don't want to fully delete it because, again, I really like the concept. I do think that the objects that came with this pack are nice, but this isn't something that I feel is necessary for my gameplay. So with that being said, movie hangout, I can play without. Oh gosh, what can I say about romantic garden stuff? I guess I could say it's a nice pack if you like landscaping. I think I have to put this pack in delete, and I'll tell you why. Before I tell you why, let me go over the Create a Sim stuff just for a second. I like the dresses that came with this pack. These two for the kids, and then these two for feminine Sims. And I like a couple of the hairs in this pack, and that is the extent of my like for the Create a Sim with this pack. So when you think of a garden, you probably think of lush greenery, lots of flowers everywhere, beautiful scenery. So what the hell is this? I already struggle with landscaping in the game, and that's just using the regular stuff. But these flowers, this landscaping, is so unique and out there. I don't know how I would be able to incorporate this into any of my landscaping. And now, they are supposed to be taking some inspiration for a Victorian garden, but these stone pieces that they have added with this pack give me vibes of things that would belong in a cemetery. A fun thing about this pack, though, is that it came with the wishing well, which honestly is a fun feature. Your Sims pay money to the wishing well for it to grant a wish, and it may or may not work out in your Sim's favor. Sometimes it can go horribly wrong, and it can result in your Sim's death. So that's a little fun thing about this pack, but overall I don't think it is a pack that I would really buy. Especially not for full price. Like, I know the stuff packs don't really go on sale that often, but it really is just one of those packs that I feel is not worth the price. I don't know how to make this work, but if anyone knows how to use this stuff and how to actually make it work for their builds, I applaud you. I can't figure this out. I don't like this pack. So yeah, that pack is going in delete. Let's move on to kids' room stuff. As a family game player, I feel like kids never get enough content whenever we get new packs. And so kids' room stuff was honestly a bit of a lifesaver because it was a pack that was completely dedicated to getting new Create a Sim stuff for kids, new build stuff for kids. It was solely focused on the children life stage, which I definitely feel is something that we kind of need again, just a pack dedicated to the younger Sims. Looking at this pack now, I do feel like it could have come with more stuff, especially in Create a Sim. But, I mean, it's more content for kids than we have gotten with any other pack, so I'll still take it. I just wish there was a little bit more. And honestly, it's just nice having more choices for clothing for kids, because I feel like a lot of the time they get forgotten about. They don't get as much stuff as any of the other older life stages do. And so it's nice to have some new outfits to dress them up with. And it's also really nice to have new stuff to decorate kids' rooms with. And honestly, we didn't get too much stuff with this pack for build stuff either. But what we did get definitely fits the vibe of a kids' room and gives it some more personality. And we did get a few nice things. We got the little puppet show here. We got this like void critter battle station. So there are some gameplay items in this pack, and I feel like even though we don't get a lot of kids content in this, it's still more than we get with other packs, and it definitely helps to kind of fit the vibe of a child more. So, you know what? I'm happy with this pack. I definitely feel like this is a necessity for me, regardless of how much content there really is in this pack. I think this is a good one. So I do think this is another pack that I am going to put in 100% can't play without. It's just one of my favorite ones. I know it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but I'm a family player. I will take any family content I can get, even if it's just more kid stuff. Backyard stuff is the next pack, and it gives me the same vibes as movie hangout stuff, where I really like the concept, but nothing about the content actually stands out to me. There's nothing about the Create a Sim catalog that really stands out to me. I'm not a fan of the hairs that came with this pack, and there are some pieces of nice clothing that came with the pack. We have some more kids clothing, but overall, the Create a Sim stuff I'm not really intrigued by, and I kind of understand that again because this is a backyard stuff pack. It's dedicated to making a backyard space, and the build mode stuff is actually really nice. But there's nothing here that really stands out to me. There's the slip and slides, and that's good for family fun stuff. But overall, I don't really feel interested in this pack. It's just, it's got some nice stuff. It's really pretty, but it's also really, really boring, I guess. And that could just be because I am not someone who typically decorates the outside of their house. I am not good at exterior stuff. So that could just be me. But this pack is definitely not one of my favorites. So yeah, this is another pack going in. Can play without because it's just not interesting. I like the concept, but there's nothing about it that really catches my eye. Vintage Glamour has a very different vibe from the stuff packs that came before it. It's a lot more elegant, a lot classier, and honestly, I really like that. Unfortunately, you may have noticed a pattern when it comes to the Create a Sim stuff with stuff packs and myself. I am just not a fan of a majority of it, and I think that's because stuff packs are maybe meant to prioritize build and buy stuff more than Create a Sim stuff, but there isn't a lot in this catalog that I'm really a fan of. I use this nightgown a lot, and I really like this top, and that is the extent of my liking for this Create a Sim catalog. I don't know. I feel like they definitely focus a lot more on the build and buy stuff than Create a Sim when it comes to stuff packs, and I may be completely wrong about that. But for this pack, at least, I definitely think I prefer the build mode over Create a Sim, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like, look at this build and buy mode, okay? We have a vanity, we have 2 new beds, clock, those curtains. I love that fireplace. I use that rug a lot. The mirrors are great. And we have another vanity. So we have 2 vanities in this pack. And I mean, all of this just looks amazing. So while the Create a Sim stuff isn't my favorite, I love the build and buy catalog for this. And also this pack comes with the ability to hire a butler. So if you like that kind of stuff, maybe you should get this pack. It's one of my favorites, even if I don't actually use the butlers. But just for the build and buy catalog alone, I think that this is a pretty good pack. So we are going to take Vintage Glamour and put it in pretty good. Moving on to bowling night stuff, I actually think that this pack is really underrated. Honestly, this pack doesn't come with a lot of stuff, and what it does come with is, of course, centered around bowling and creating a bowling hangout area. But I actually really like the gameplay of this pack, and so I don't even care that there's not a lot of stuff that comes in Create a Sim or build and buy stuff, because I really enjoy taking my Sims out to go bowling with their family. It's just one of my favorite activities for my Sims to do. That being said, I'm not showing off the gameplay in this video, but if you're someone who likes bowling in real life, then you'll probably like this pack and taking your Sims bowling in the game. It really is a lot of fun. But Create a Sim wise, there isn't a lot in this catalog, but there are a few nice things. This full body outfit is one of my favorites. I absolutely love the shorts, these ones right here. And then these tops are some of my favorites as well. So there's not a lot of Create a Sim stuff, but I do like some of the stuff that comes with the Create a Sim catalog. For the build and buy stuff, they went with this retro vibe, which unfortunately the way that they have presented this, they've turned a majority of the stuff to the black swatch, but there are a lot of different fun colors and some fun patterns on some of these objects. But a lot of the stuff is centered around what you would actually find at a bowling alley. So you have like bowling ball racks, a bowling pin, some display cases for like trophies and such. But this is a fun little pack, and honestly, I could probably use some of the stuff a little bit more. I just don't choose to for whatever reason. But I do really like this pack, and I think that it is a lot of fun, and I think it's one of those underrated ones, honestly. So you have my word that this is a good pack, and it's just very underappreciated. And honestly, I kind of want there to be some kind of arcade pack just to kind of go along with the whole bowling thing, because I think they would work out pretty well together. So that's going in pretty good as well, because I really do like that pack. It's not something that I like 100% couldn't play without, but it's actually a very, very good pack. So especially if you are someone who likes that kind of gameplay, just so good. So good. Next up is fitness stuff, and I feel like they completely missed an opportunity with this pack to add more gym equipment. Like, they did add something new, but then any other gym equipment that they added was just like reskins essentially of something we already have in the game. I also feel like this could have been an opportunity to add more athletic outfits to the game, but no. So we don't have a lot of stuff that really came with this pack and Create a Sim stuff, and it's kind of a letdown. I feel like we need more athletic clothes as well. Formal, athletic, and swimwear and a little bit of sleepwear, I feel are the categories that really need attention. So, unfortunately, this pack just was very underwhelming for me, and the build mode stuff really does not focus on fitness that much. You know, you've got a treadmill here, and the new thing that they added was the climbing wall, which is all the way down here. But this could have been an opportunity to add, like, weights or something, you know, just the only new, like, fitness equipment we got was the climbing wall. And then the rest of the stuff is just stuff to decorate like a fancy gym. So I definitely feel like they missed an opportunity here to give us a bunch of new athletic type stuff. And I feel very let down by this pack. And as far as I'm aware, a lot of people are not fond of this pack because it's a lot of what we already have. Just, I don't know. It's such a weird assortment of things because there's nothing really fitness about it, you know? So I'm sending fitness stuff to Purgatory. It's going in the delete category because it was such a letdown. And then we got toddler stuff, which came out not long after the toddler life stage was finally added to the game. And I feel like it was a very necessary pack. Surprisingly, I think they focused more on the Create a Sim stuff than the build and buy stuff for this pack. And honestly, I'm really thankful for that because when toddlers first got added to the game, they did not come with a lot of clothing options. And so I am so thankful that we got a lot more outfits with this pack because I hate being limited in my customization choices. And I feel that same way about infants. So part of me is hoping that stuff packs return with The Sims 4 infant stuff where we get more outfits for infants because I feel very limited, just like I did before this pack came out for toddlers. And I really need some more infant stuff, okay? So please, if stuff packs ever do revive, please give us an infant stuff pack. While this pack doesn't come with a lot of stuff for the build and buy mode, it does have some really cute stuff. I love the little pillows. The grill is one of my favorites. I love the layered rugs. And of course, let's not forget the very iconic ball pit for any new simmers who have no clue about the history of this ball pit. When this pack first came out, the entire Sims community was in flames, up in arms over this ball pit because of the texture of it. It was just so flat, so horrible. And I think the Sims community actually bullied the Sims team into fixing the texture. So it was a whole thing. We're all having war flashbacks about this ball pit, okay? It was a time. But I definitely feel like toddler stuff is another pack that I can't play without because it just gave me so many new customization options for the toddlers. I think if I had not gotten this pack, I would skip right over the toddler life stage. I would want absolutely nothing to do with it. I hate being limited in my customization, so this pack was a lifesaver. I cannot play without it. We're getting into the good ones now because the next pack is Laundry Day. Laundry Day was the first community voted stuff pack that we ever got, and we got to vote on every single thing that came with this pack. We were involved every step of the way. It was great. And I remember a lot of people were very confused and upset that the community had voted for a laundry stuff pack. I will admit, the concept sounds really boring, and I don't really play with laundry in any of my saves, but this was honestly one of the best stuff packs that we ever got, and it's because the community voted on every single thing that got added to this pack. Now, once again, there is not a lot of stuff for Create a Sim, but this has some of the best Create a Sim that I've ever seen in a stuff pack ever, okay? I love a majority of the clothes that came with this pack. It's all very loose fitting and looks very, very comfortable. It's like a 10 out of 10 for me. And the build mode items are some of the best things we have in this entire game. Okay, everything just looks so nice. We had a lot of wicker action going on in this pack, which honestly, huge fan. But yeah, I'm so happy that the community picked this pack. And we had a lot of options. I don't remember exactly what all our options were at the time, but I'm really happy that we got this. Even if it is a weird concept, I think people just wanted a little bit more realism in their game, and what's more real than doing laundry? Now, despite me not actually playing with laundry at all, this is a pack I don't think that I could play without just because I use that Create a Sim stuff so often. And also the build and buy mode. I use a lot of that stuff regularly too. Just, it's so good, okay? I can't even put it in pretty good because it is more than pretty good. It is amazing. And I really wish that we had more community voted stuff because just, oh my gosh. I love Laundry Day so much. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't even like doing laundry in real life, okay? But the Laundry Day stuff pack was just one of the best ones that we ever had. This next stuff pack is essentially the Journey to Batu of stuff packs, and that is my first pet stuff. I will say I don't think this pack gets as much hate as Journey to Batu, but this pack does not have a good reputation. My first pet stuff is a DLC for DLC, which basically means if you don't have one of the other packs, this pack is basically useless. This stuff pack requires you to have The Sims 4 cats and dogs because it is literally a pack of outfits that you can put on your pets. And if you don't have The Sims 4 cats and dogs, these items will literally not show up in your game. There is a little bit more to the backlash with this pack than it just being DLC for DLC, and that's that it came out basically right around the same time that Cats and Dogs did. Like, it released right after. And so a lot of people were feeling that this was just a cash grab. This was all items that could have been put into Cats and Dogs, and they just held on to them so that way they could have an extra pack. So there's a lot of stuff around this pack, and a lot of people don't like it. James Turner, who is one of the biggest Sims YouTubers out there, hates this pack so much that he doesn't even have it installed in his game. He refuses to have it. So there is a lot that comes with this pack, and it is not positive. Now, despite this pack's reputation, I don't actually hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. So I think I'm going to put it in neutral because I don't really feel one particular way about it. It's there. It exists. I actually really like the curtains that come with that pack, but I don't use the majority of that stuff most of the time, and I just don't have negative or positive feelings about it, so it's just there for me. I feel neutral. Did someone say collaboration? The Sims team did, and that is how we ended up with Moschino stuff. Moschino is a fashion brand, and they make some of the worst clothes that I have ever seen, and then sell them for ridiculous prices. Here's some of their clothes. This one is usually $2,055. However, it's on sale, so now it's only $1,027.50. And this dress over here? This is usually $695, but it's on sale, so it's only $347.50. This, for that price. Are you kidding me? Now with Moschino, that is just their pricing for their normal clothing, okay? But they collaborated with The Sims. So when The Sims made this pack, Moschino made some clothing that came from this pack and made it into a real thing. And you can only imagine how much that collection costs. Now, luckily the Sims team wasn't entirely stupid with this collaboration, and they did not charge Moschino prices for this pack, okay? It was still $10, still the normal stuff pack price, okay? But some of these clothes that are in the pack were actually part of a real collection that was made by Moschino. So this Plum Bob swimsuit was a real thing. I think this jacket was a real thing. This full body outfit right here was a real thing. And I don't even want to imagine how much the real life versions of these actually cost. I know the swimsuit was ridiculous, and I don't think people would pay any more than maybe $10, $15, and that might be an exaggeration, for a swimsuit with plumb bobs on it, okay? And you can imagine Moschino, with their current prices of things, did a whole lot worse than $10 or $15 for a swimsuit with plumb bobs. Now, I don't entirely hate this pack. I do hate a majority of the Create a Sim stuff, and I really do hate Moschino, but this stuff pack came with some really good windows, okay? And I think a lot of people agree that that is really the only reason to get this pack, is for the windows. Now, we did get a new career with this stuff pack as well, which was the photographer career, and it gave us kind of a better way to take photos in the game. I do think people wanted a modeling career as well, though. With this pack, it would have been really cool to be able to be a fashion model and not just a photographer, but that didn't happen. So yeah, really the only reasons to get this pack is for the windows, and if you want that photography career, then there you go. But yeah, as much as I like those windows, I hate Moschino. It is going in the delete category. I hate that company, okay? It's just ridiculous. The clothing is ugly and it's ridiculously expensive. No clothing should ever cost that much, okay? I said what I said. I'm standing by it. It's insane. Tiny Living stuff was a surprise, but I think it was a very welcome surprise because a lot of people actually really like this pack. This pack actually has some gameplay elements to it because when building tiny houses, there are 3 different tiers of houses that you can build, and whichever one you pick gives you different perks. The smaller you go, the more perks that you have. And so it's really fun to try to build these really small homes and keep it functional. It adds a bit of a challenge to it. But the Create a Sim stuff is decent for the most part. I really do like these more like sweaters, and honestly, just, I have always been a shirt person, okay? I really like tops. Pants for me, I can just throw on a pair of jeans. It's fine. Everything goes with jeans. But for me, the fashion is always in the shirt, okay? And I really do like a lot of the tops that we got with this pack. Now, the build mode items, oddly enough, they are not that small, okay? Like, these TV units are pretty big. The Murphy beds are pretty big. But there are some nice things here. The dresser is still pretty big. Like, that thing is huge. But I usually just use the skinny one because that one's actually kind of a decent size. But oddly enough, for it being Tiny Living, a lot of the stuff is really big. But this is another thing that added kind of a fun gameplay element to it, though, with one of the objects, and that's the Murphy beds, because Murphy beds can kill your sim. And if I know anything about the Sims community, they love new deaths in the Sims. And I think Murphy beds was something they were missing for a long time, and then we got them with Tiny Living, and it just worked. Okay, so this is a good pack, honestly. It was a very surprising pack to get, but I think overall people were really happy with it, and it's not one of the worst packs that we ever got. I can't say that I 100% can't play without Tiny Living, so I'm gonna put it in pretty good. We're in that era where the stuff packs are, like, really, really good. And I think that was just them kind of preparing for the end of them, unfortunately, because we only have 2 stuff packs left. The second to last stuff pack that we got was Nifty Knitting, and this was another community voted stuff pack. Just like with Laundry Day, for Nifty Knitting, we got to vote on basically everything that came with this pack. We got to vote on the theme, we got to vote on the clothes, and the styles of everything, and the objects. Basically everything about this pack was chosen by the Sims community. Looking back at this, it's actually kind of bittersweet because we have not had another community voted pack since Nifty Knitting. So every pack that came after this one, every decision made for those packs was made by the Sims team. So we have not had a say in any of the content that we have gotten since Nifty Knitting. And it's really sad. The closest that we have gotten to it is recently we got to pick the theme of 2 new kits that were coming, but I'm pretty sure that's the extent of it. We're probably not going to get to vote on what kind of clothing we want or what kind of objects we're getting, you know, so Nifty Knitting was really the last one where the community got to vote on every aspect of the pack. Now, in saying that, Nifty Knitting is not one of my favorite packs. Between Laundry Day and Nifty Knitting, I think my favorite pack is Laundry Day, but that's just me, and I don't even remember if I actually voted for Nifty Knitting when we were picking out a theme for this pack. But the Create a Sim stuff is meh to me. There's nothing really here that I like, but the build stuff is actually more along my lines. I love all of the colors here. I think they were experimenting with a little bit of pastel at the time. They were headed that way at least, and we got this more of like minty kind of color that I really liked. And there's not a lot of objects that actually came with this pack, unfortunately. But we got the rocking chair for the first time, which was great. And we got the ability to knit, and it's a fun pack, I admit. It's just not really my cup of tea, but I love some of these furniture items. I love how kind of cluttered and messy it is. I don't know. In a way, it makes my heart really happy. And this, like, wall plant with the, like, yarn stuff on it. I don't even know if that entire plant is actually made out of yarn or if it's just the holders. But that's probably one of my favorite pieces in the entire game. So I do like this pack, just not as much as Laundry Day. But I really do kind of miss the days of getting to vote for packs, and hopefully that happens again soon, but I don't think it will because stuff packs are basically dead at this point. It's a hard pill to swallow, it's a hard thing to admit, but I really don't think that stuff packs are going to come back. Given that it's already a pack that I don't really play with, I'm going to put it in can play without. So it's nice to reminisce on the days when the Sims community actually kind of had a say in the content that we got, but I don't necessarily feel like it's a really good pack. It's definitely not one that I'm super excited or happy to have, but it's there, and I don't know, it has some nice things in it, but it's definitely a pack I could probably live without. It is the end of an era with the Sims 4 paranormal stuff. Even if stuff packs weren't intended to just stop being a thing, they definitely went out with a bang. Honestly, this was probably the best stuff pack that we ever got. It gave us so much gameplay. We got a new lot type for a haunted house. We got a new career where you could be a ghost hunter, essentially, and you could go to the haunted houses and cleanse them of their hauntedness. You could contact spirits. It was a whole thing. It was great. The pack came with some of my favorite Create a Sim stuff, and also a lot of my favorite build and buy stuff as well. Like, this Create a Sim catalog, just so good. So many items in this pack, just fantastic. I really do love a lot of the stuff that came with Create a Sim. Not so much the hairs, but the outfits themselves are just so good. And then the build and buy stuff. I love the plants that came with this pack. I love, not these chairs, but this chair and couch. I use it a lot. And just, oh, it's so good. So good. And it makes me really sad, but I'm kind of happy that this is how they ended the whole stuff pack thing, because part of me thinks that if they had continued, they would have messed something up. I don't think it could have gotten any better than Paranormal. Now, obviously, if they do bring back stuff packs, I'm gonna be really happy about it, and I think a lot of the Sims community would probably be really happy about it too. But for me, I don't think anything could really top Paranormal. It was just so good, but it's not something I can 100% not play without. I'm gonna put it in pretty good, even though it's definitely more than pretty good. But there we go. That is my tier list for all of the Sims 4 stuff packs. I'm not gonna lie, this took me hours to record and I am really tired. But let me know in the comments if you guys agree with my tier list. Let me know what your favorite stuff packs are and which ones you would delete. And also, make sure that you guys are checking my community tab on my YouTube channel, because I always let you guys know when there's not going to be a video. Because sometimes life happens, you know, I can't always control everything. Sometimes I can, but, you know, it is what it is. So just keep an eye on that community tab, and that's really all that I ask of you guys. But with that, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you have notifications on so you don't miss anything. Be sure to follow my socials, links are below. I'll see y'all soon. Bye!